Hello, welcome to Rocket City Yardstead. My name is Sarah and welcome to my channel. I thought here towards the beginning of my channel, it would be a really good idea to do a bit of an introductory video and just tell you a little bit about myself, where I live, the kinds of things I plan on posting on this channel, and just sort of an overview. So as I said, my name is Sarah. I live in North Alabama, specifically in the Metro Huntsville area. If you're unfamiliar with Huntsville, there's a big NASA presence here. It's home to Space Camp. The Saturn V rockets were developed here, and that's where the nickname Rocket City comes from. So when I thought about naming my channel, I just thought Rocket City Yardstead. You might be wondering what a yardstead is. Well, I live in a subdivision, and I only live on about a third of an acre. I can't have farm animals. I don't have animals that I butcher for meat. I don't have dairy animals, but what I do have is a garden. And I also do a lot of food preservation and things like that. And so while a lot of what I do falls under the homesteading category, somehow the idea of a yardstead just seemed a little bit more in line with who I am and what I'm doing. And so that's where that comes from. Like I said, we have quite a decent sized garden in our backyard, and we produce quite a lot of our produce for the year out of that garden. We are able to eat fresh from the garden largely through the spring and summer and fall, but I also do quite a lot of food preservation as well. I do canning, both water bath and pressure canning. I like to freeze things by blanching them and putting up produce that way. And we also have a freeze dryer, and that's another way that I put up a lot of our produce. Now, another way that I will utilize a lot of that fresh produce is by making ready-made meals that we can throw in the freezer. And then when we need something quick, or we're just not feeling like cooking or something like that, we've got something to pull out. A great example of that is last fall, right before the frost, I pulled probably 20 or 30 pounds of Anaheims and poblano peppers out of the garden. And I did put a lot of those up so we could use them in various recipes. But one of the things I did was I made 4 chili relleno casseroles that I was able to put in the freezer so that we could just pull them out when we were ready. And it was quite a bit of work up front, but then it makes life easier later on. Another area that I think will probably have a fairly heavy presence on this channel is just cooking in general. I have quite a few food sensitivities myself that really impact how I feel if I eat things that are problematic for me. And my mom has fibromyalgia, and her diet massively affects her symptoms. And so we cook a lot from scratch. There's a lot of clean eating, clean ingredients, and that's just a really important part of our lives. But over the last 2 decades of my life, honestly more than that, because my mom was diagnosed with fibromyalgia when I was a teenager and I did a lot of the cooking in our home. I started learning how to adapt recipes to make them work for us. You don't always want to just have to eat something that's totally out of left field. And so I have learned to look at recipes and say, okay, how can I make this recipe that's something we actually want to eat work for us? What are the substitutions that I can make? And you end up with something that a lot of people wouldn't even necessarily know has had substitutions, that's been adapted for a food allergy or a sensitivity. And it's just good food and you enjoy it, but it's not going to make you feel bad. And I feel like that's the kind of thing that I would like to share on here, because maybe somebody who's new to dealing with food allergies finds this channel and they learn something from it and they learn how to do that. And my hope is, in sharing that kind of thing, that I could maybe really help somebody who is starting the journey that I've been on for a long time. Another thing along the lines of cooking videos is that I feel like I will probably have a fairly sizable amount of sourdough related recipes. Most people I know have experienced, food shortages and supply chain issues at the grocery store over the last handful of years. And for me personally, one of the things that was really problematic that I couldn't get was the only brand of gluten-free bread that I could eat, that I could find locally anyway. I have a pretty severe corn sensitivity, and there was only one brand available that was gluten-free and didn't have corn. And so at the time that that happened, there was all of the sourdough information on social media. I'm sure most of you came across that as well. But I thought maybe I'll just use myself as a guinea pig and see if I can tolerate sourdough, even though I don't tolerate wheat well. And it turned out that that is actually genuinely the case for me. Um, Traditional wheat products cause a lot of joint pain for me, and it's very obvious very quickly if I've eaten something with wheat in it. But the sourdough does not cause that problem, and it's honestly, it feels sort of miraculous to me. But once I discovered that, I sort of went down the rabbit hole and discovered that you can make all kinds of things with sourdough and you can long ferment them, and they're much easier on my body. And I feel like I can't be the only person like that. I know that I've seen lots of people talk about how they can eat sourdough, but I haven't seen a ton of people talk about all of the different things that you can make with sourdough. And in going down the rabbit hole, I learned about all of these different things that I can make that I don't have to buy really expensive gluten-free products anymore. I can buy just a handful of really good quality ingredients, including, organic, unbleached wheat flour. And I can make things that are really good for you, but also make you feel fine when you eat them. Um, some of the things I've learned to make, I've made pasta, I've made biscuits, English muffins, bagels. We even did a fermented sourdough birthday cake that turned out wonderfully. But there's just a whole world of sourdough that honestly, it never would have occurred to me was a possibility. Because, like I said, all I ever thought was bread. And so maybe people will find something of value in that as well. Friends, I think that's a pretty good overview of what this channel will be like. I do want to say, I am definitely not somebody who wants to come across as a know-it-all. I very much so would like for this to be collaborative. Obviously, I'm the one who's making videos, but if you come across these videos and you have some knowledge that it's clear that I don't have, I very much welcome constructive criticism and tips and tricks and just anything that will help me grow as a cook, as a baker, as a gardener, any of those things really. And so I definitely welcome your feedback. Um, but yeah, that's me. That's what this channel is going to be. And welcome. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.